You are now tuned in to the Impressionable Professional Show. Here we talk about how to act, speak, and dress like a modern-day professional. I'm your host, Yvonne Mitchell. Now let's start the show. Good afternoon, everyone out there. How are you today? I hope you're enjoying this beautiful weather that's out there, that nice cool breeze. Hopefully you won't get rained on today. I want to tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Yvonne Mitchell. Today is actually my birthday. I'm very excited. I want to give you a little bit about my background to kind of go in before we go into the show. The show, as you know, is called Impressionable Professional. And in a minute, you're going to know why it's called that tongue twister of a name. So my name is Yvonne Mitchell. I actually have a few degrees. I have an associate's in computer information technology from Delgado Community College. I also have an accounting degree with a minor in management from UNO, and I have a master's from the University of Phoenix, which is actually what propelled me into the business field. I'm still working in my field as an accountant at Ochsner Hospital. And there I kind of deal with a lot of business opportunities. And I'm always around corporate. I'm always going to meetings. It's always something going on. I actually was the first intern there. And as the first intern, I like to brag about that. There are some things that you have to keep in mind. And I didn't necessarily realize that until I actually became the career person looking and working with the interns. So this is how Impressionable Professional came along. One day, I met an intern. She walked in, and of course, she was a beautiful young lady. She's working hard. She has her degree. She's trying to advance herself. But unfortunately, one thing was missing. And what was missing was her image. Her hair kind of looked like it may have been combed at one point during the last 2-3 days. Her clothes were a little bit shabby, or not necessarily shabby, but she didn't look like she was coming into work. And she was younger, I was younger, but I didn't necessarily feel comfortable enough to pull her to the side and say, hey, maybe you should try to dress a little bit differently, or maybe you should present yourself a little more businesslike. I just didn't feel comfortable in doing that. And so I thought to myself, how can I fix this? What can I do to not be the problem? How can I fix the problem without also being rude or being labeled as somebody who looks down on others or anything like that? Because it was all coming from a good place, because I wanted to see her succeed. So I thought about it. I said, what if I start a company that actually went out and taught people the fundamentals of how to dress for success, how to become that professional that makes an impression on somebody else. And that's where the title Impressionable Professional came from. So now you see, it's a little bit of a tongue twister, but it does have a meaning. And in order to say it correctly, one must articulate. So you have to say it slowly and pronounce all the words, and that is how you say Impressionable Professional. Let's go into some other things about this. Let's talk about how to leave a lasting impression. What does that mean to you? To me, leaving a lasting impression should always be a positive experience and not a negative experience. It's something that when you leave, people remember you. People remember you for all the good reasons. When they're considering you for another position later on in life, they can look back and say, oh, I remember that one girl, or I remember that one guy. They were always dressed to the T. They always spoke well, and they always did their best. That there, ladies and gentlemen, is an impressionable professional. We have to learn together. We have to inspire one another and teach one another. And as an impressionable professional, you give off that vibe. You make people want to learn what you have to offer. You make people want to hear what it is that you have to say. Because sometimes if you don't look the part, no one really cares to hear what you have to say. And that's terrible that we're put into a society where we are judging people off of the first 30 seconds that we meet them, but it is our reality. And in that reality, we have to learn how to basically accept that, adapt, and overcome. Meaning, we have to become that, and we have to make it work for us. So many people don't want to do it because they say, oh, no, that's not me. That's not who I am. I can't express who I am as a person. And you still can. But you just have to learn to do it out in moderation. You have to do it in a business aspect. So that way it's still respectable, but it also still shows who you are. I wonder out there, have any of you all ever been through those type of problems or issues or had that type of situation happen, or is it just me? Because I could be all alone out here. Nobody could know. And if so, please call in. Tell me. I would love to hear about your stories. You can call in at 504-260-9265 and tell me all about your issues or experiences that you've had. Because I know I just can't be the only person out there that's gone through this. So, getting past that part, what are some of your favorite ways to dress? Something that really shows off your image. To me, I've noticed that the color red really, really makes a difference. The color red is something that is a bold statement that kind of lets people know who you are. It expresses energy. It shows power. It shows boldness. It just basically makes people remember you. And that is one thing an impressionable professional wants to do. They want to be remembered. Because so many times people see different candidates. They don't know that you might be a part of 20 different people. As a matter of fact, there's some huge things going on in the city. And you could probably take this advice and really put forth it and just try it out and let me know how it works. But before we go on, let's see what Jason has to say.
Hey, how you doing today?
Hi, Jason. I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. I'm glad you're talking about the subject today about impressionists, just dressing. I was at the barber shop the other day, and I just want to ask you a question if you noticed this.
Okay.
But I went to a good friend of mine's wedding a few weeks ago, and last week I wound up going to a funeral. And at the barber shop this week, the discussion was on, you notice how people dress these days to go to functions? Well, I'm not in a different class, but you notice people wear T-shirts, and I just never heard of that type of concept, the T-shirts and the jeans and to a funeral or a wedding. And, I have a lot of friends real close to me, and they tell me all the time, man, you dress up for everything.
Right.
And I'm like, man, I'm just not used to going to functions, especially a funeral or a wedding, with a T-shirt on.
Right.
I don't see how people do that.
Right, and Jason, that's a great point because it doesn't necessarily stop at business. It is even further than that, like you said, at funerals, at weddings, at just things where you have to dress appropriately. I do have a question for you. Did someone actually teach this ethic to you, or is it something you kind of developed on your own?
I tell people all the time, my mom, when I was a little boy, anything happened in our family, a funeral, wedding, I still remember going to Gretna, and my mom would take our shoes to this guy to shine them and clean them.
Right.
I still remember waking up in the morning of a funeral or a wedding, and my mom have our little suit lay across the bed.
Right.
And that's why it seemed weird to me.
Right, and I think you bring up a good point, and I think that it's up to us to teach everyone else. And I really have to applaud you and commend you for going places and still dressing up, even though maybe the majority of people around you aren't doing that.
But do you notice that's the trend in the city right now?
Yes.
Or is it just me?
No, it is not, Jason. We are together. I totally understand, and I think that it's going to take a community to help raise up everyone that's coming after us to teach them, hey, this is not okay. And there's a place and a time for everything. And it's not saying you can't wear your T-shirt, just not here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, young lady.
I appreciate you, Jason. Thank you for calling.
Uh-huh.
Let's check in with Larry and see what he has to say. Hi, Larry. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing just fine. Hey, you hit the nail, this is the thing, if you go to different countries, like I'm talking about Far East, you go further down, they wear bright clothes, red, yellow, green, dark blue, burgundy. See, the clothes, your outfit for men and women makes the difference. You look like bright and charming,
Right.
At job and wherever. If you start wearing gray and tan and all the light colors, then you actually, you don't look good. To me, it doesn't. Because the simple reason is you look like you're going back to the funeral or something like that. In a funeral show, you have to dress like that because it's a somber moment, and it's a different thing. But in a daily life, you have to dress bright, just like we wait for the sunshine to come on. It's the same thing with dress code. You got to dress bright and attractive. Where people look at you, the first impression, oh, who's that man? Who's that gal?
Absolutely.
They dress real good. So
right.
That's what the impression is, all right? Mm-hmm.
I agree, Larry. And you bring up a great point because during this month, I am actually going to touch on colors because a lot of times colors plays a major part in how you dress. Like you said, sometimes it can be warm. They give off moods and emotions. And we have to try to find those colors that complement us and that also give off the right message. And,
well, exactly, yeah. But that's what it is. Colors represent your mentality, your dignity. If you dress up real good, bright, attractive, people look at you, just the first impression is, oh, that person looks good. And that's where it is. So everybody accepts that particular person just because you look good in those colors. And basically, it's a good thing. You have to dress bright. Your appearance and your attraction, you everything else. Like, in other words, even if you go to a job,
right,
you look like, dressed up and everything else, that's the first impression. You got to look your best,
You're right. You're absolutely right. Thank you so much, Larry, for calling and bringing up that point. You have a wonderful day.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye. Let's go to Ken. Hi, Ken. How are you?
Hey, fine. Look, I just happened to be flipping the channel, and I caught your show, and I was listening to your comments about first impression in attire. I don't know what's wrong with the young people today, but they just don't understand it's important that you present yourself if you are going for a job, that you present yourself in a professional way. To me, I'm at loss as to why any young man from the age of 20 on up, why you wouldn't have a suit. If a young man tells me he doesn't have a suit, then that tells me is obviously this person is never going any place that requires a suit, a place that one would say that he's educated, that he's moving in the right direction, that there's a chance of upward mobility. That tells me, for some strange reason, he's just not prepared to move forward. And, of course, I'm an older person, and people my age, we all dress in suits, funeral, church, weddings, whatever.
Right.
But, I have a nephew that when his father passed, he had to be in his 20s. He had a tie on, but he didn't have a suit. And I'm trying to figure out, how could you not have a suit for your own father's funeral? That's just...
Right.
To me, that's deplorable, and it's unexcusable. It really is.
Absolutely, I agree, and I think we've gotten away from...
I'm sorry to interrupt, but what needs to happen is if young men, as well as young women being dressed properly, if they don't get that at home where we used to get it at home, then it's important that the school systems teach young men and young women how to dress. When I was in high school, I went to public high school, we had to wear a tie every day for almost the entire year. And the whole reason behind that was, number one, teaching us how to tie a tie, and number two, preparing us to go for an interview and to go on certain types of jobs where you need a coat and tie.
Right.
And it's sad that the schools are not, from what I understand, they're not teaching that. They're not teaching the ability for our young people to be able to go out into the world. They're not preparing them to go out in the world and be productive. Not from an educational standpoint of, knowing your math, English, science, or whatever, but being prepared to present yourself in a professional manner.
Right.
And go ahead.
Do you think, when did they actually take that out? I didn't know that that you all were actually required at one point to wear a tie to school. I know when I do research and I look back at older pictures that I see a lot of young women and young men going to school dressed up, and they look a lot different. They actually always look like they were going to church. They look very well, polished and put together. And I'm wondering, when did that escape us?
Well, I don't know. I went to school in the 60s. I went to L.B. Landry, and we had to wear a tie. Young women had to be dressed. And now, not all public schools kids were required to wear ties, but all kids in my area, regardless of what school they went to, dressed basically alike. We were well dressed, well groomed, and it had nothing to do with whether you were poor or not poor.
Right.
Because because a lot of young folks can use, well, I don't have any money. It doesn't take a lot of money to be dressed to wear a shirt, a proper shirt. If you can spend $100 and $200 on a pair of tennis, trust me, you can buy a suit.
Absolutely. And can you bring up a great point? And I really am very excited that you talked about this, because it kind of shows a light on where do kids actually associate their professionalism. Where do they get that from? And now, when you go to school, your shirt must be tucked in,
yes.
But it's usually a collared shirt and maybe a pair of Dickies.
Yes.
And so now, when the young adults are coming up and they're going on interviews, that's the clothing that they're wearing. And I'm wondering if that's what it's coming from. Are we associating that with how to dress professionally?
I have no idea. Well, it's hard to say. But I do know people that are listening that grew up back in my era in the 60s, young men, if they would dress up like they were going out to a party when they went to school, kids used to buy used to go on Rampart Street back in the day and buy tailored slacks.
Wow.
Guys would have alligator wallets. They would have alligator belts.
Wow.
Everybody wanted to be neat.
Right.
Everybody wanted to look good. Kids didn't wear tennis to school. That was unheard of back in the 60s. You didn't wear you wore tennis in PE, but not to school. You had on shoes. Again, rich or poor, because a lot of people like to use finances as an excuse, but there's no excuse for not being dressed properly.
Right. You're right. Thank you so much, Ken. I really appreciate your input. You brought up some great, interesting topics. Thank you. Hi, Dexter. How are you today?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
I wanted to say something positive. I don't think every young person should be grouped along with when everybody says, I don't know what young people are doing, because there's a lot of us who are dressing properly.
Absolutely.
I went to the job fair yesterday at the Riverwalk, and everyone there was dressed professionally.
Oh,
and
I'm
you
so
had
excited.
some people who weren't dressed with shirt and ties on, but they weren't applying for those type of jobs. They were applying for back-of-the-house type jobs. So I really don't like it when everyone just lumps everybody together and say, young people today are this, or young people today that. And
right.
they haven't met every young person today. So,
and
I just want you to caution people and just say maybe the young people that they've seen or they've met,
right.
fine, but that's not all of us.
Good job, Dexter. That's a great point. I thank you for bringing that up. I have a lot of friends and family members that are dressing professionally, and they are part of that young group. And I appreciate you bringing that up, and I'm sure they do as well. So thank you.
I just have a general question to ask you.
Yes.
It just hit me. It's almost Easter.
Uh-huh.
And it's always don't wear white until after Easter or seersucker until after Easter. Why is that?
I think that those are kind of old-fashioned rules. I don't necessarily agree with them because I like to wear how I feel. I dress according to my emotion, I guess you can say. And so I'm not necessarily sure why they had that before, but I do know now it's kind of changing. They're still trying to bring that up, but a lot of the younger generation, we're getting away from that in my point of view.
Well, and to be honest with you, I don't mind the rules, and I just always wanted to know where they come from, because in a way, I kind of like it because it makes it even more special when it's after that, and I can wear it. So I kind of get that part of it.
Right.
But since you know, so into fashion, I kind of was wondering if you know the history about some of these rules about fashion and like after 7, certain colors and just different stuff like that. And I just kind of wanted to know if you know stuff about that.
Well, I tell you what, Dexter, keep calling, and I'm going to definitely look that up and get that information for you. Have a great day. Hello, everybody. So we're back. I actually want to bring to the attention of a wonderful community event that's going on. I think as professionals, not only do we talk about how to dress or how to act and how to speak, but we should also be those people that give back to everyone else. You know, you're somewhere because of somebody else or what someone else has done. And every show, I want to kind of blast and put out the information for a community event that I feel will make a difference in someone's life. So please let me introduce to you Brittany and Sharita. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, ladies. So I'll have you guys kind of introduce yourselves and then tell the program. So I'll let you go first, Sharita, because I know Miss Brittany has a lot to tell you guys.
Well, my name is Sharita Senak. I am the principal at 365 Public Relations, and I have partnered with Brittany to do an event for a prom season, and it's in line with everything you're talking about. Image does extend beyond your clothing. It's important for your hair and your nails, makeup. And so we're doing something for senior girls in the community to give them free prom makeovers for their senior proms.
Thank you. This sounds very exciting. I wish that someone gave me a makeover for my prom, because I remember I did my own makeup, and that consisted of lipstick. So, Brittany, can you tell us a little bit more about the event and how it all got started?
Yes, most definitely. First, I'm Brittany Coates, creator of All Things Sparkle Prom Edition. And basically, it just started out with a good idea that I had. I wanted to be able to donate my services as a makeup artist. And so I then reached out to Sharita and our photographer friend Quinn, and we kind of just put this together, also with the help of a hairstylist here in the city. And what we're doing is we've decided to donate our services to 20 girls. We've reached out to a lot of the local high schools and speaking with the principals and the teachers, and we've asked them to nominate seniors that they feel are deserving of this reward. It's our goal to basically encourage and motivate the young girls in the community who are making a difference and who are trying to make the community better and who are working with the youth, to reward them for what it is that they're doing here in the city.
So are there any stipulations for a girl? Like, does she have to make a certain GPA average or participate in a certain amount of groups at school or anything like that to be nominated?
She doesn't. All we're asking is we just want the girls who are putting in work, who are good students, and who are trying to give back to their community in some form or fashion.
Perfect. And listen up, everyone. This is free. This is all being donated out of the kindness of their heart. They're putting forth their efforts and putting it to make someone look beautiful, especially for prom. And your senior prom is one of your biggest moments in life. And you have so many memories, so many pictures. And how nice would it be to have complimentary hair, nails, and just a photo shoot? That is awesome. I wish I had a photo shoot. I don't think I had a photo shoot yet.
I did. Hey, it's something I'm really excited about. And if you think about it, I mean, how many times do we don't get dressed up all the time after your senior prom, where it's it's just about you. For some of us, we get married and we have our weddings, but the senior prom is really, really big for girls, and they look forward to it. And so we just want to make it even more fantastic for them.
Right. And what I like about this is, ladies, this isn't for it's not income based, so you don't have to make below a threshold to make this, or if you make above a certain amount of money, you can't participate.
Right.
Everyone can be involved in this. Every senior girl can be involved in this, and it's diverse. So everyone any girl that that's a senior, please go to their website, which I'll have them let you know of. Go to their website, nominate these young ladies, and you don't have to even tell them. Just figure out what their prom date is, enter that information. That's the only information you need from those girls is their actual prom date. Everything else you will probably know. And it could even be a surprise. I'm not going to tell you guys that I snuck and registered one of my cousins just because I feel like she would be very deserving of it. I didn't tell her,
Most
but
definitely.
I'm excited about it.
Yes, it's very exciting. And you don't have to be a teacher. You don't have to be a mother or father. You could be the neighbor next door. You can be an uncle. You can be an auntie, a grandmother, a grandfather, or even a friend. It doesn't matter. If you see a girl and she's putting in work and she's giving back to her community, do her a favor and just nominate her for this reward so that she can just feel really special on her prom day.
Perfect. And when's the last date to do this?
Our deadline, we've extended it. It was April 10th. We've extended it to April 24th. And you can, any questions that you may have in regard to the event that we're putting on, you can visit our website. It's www.allthingssparkleprom.com. That's www.allthingssparkleprom.com.
Perfect. This sounds very exciting, and I wish it was me. I wish I was getting picked for this right now. So thank you very much, ladies. I really appreciate
Thank you for having us.
this.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
And do you guys know when the winner will be picked?
Go ahead, Sharita.
Well, we're going to select the winners a week before their prom date. So, if they just go to the website and there's a link, there's a form for nominations. It's a big sign on there that says nominate a girl, and everything is there, all the information, the questions that they need. And the only thing that they will need from the girls is their prom date and their phone number so that we can call them. And that's it, 1 week before.
Perfect. So everybody remember, you can nominate that young lady by April 24th. Also, if you need any further information and would like to keep up with me, have any questions for me, any ideas for the show, please feel free to follow my website, which is www.impressprofess.com. There's a link there that says radio show. Right there, they have all the information. I have a live chat button. I have some tips and tricks on things. I also have a Facebook account, Twitter, Instagram. All of that stuff is listed there on the website. And again, if you want to find out more about the prom makeover, if you go to the website under news, you will see their information listed there. And I always like to leave on a positive note just to give someone a little bit of motivation, because I think that's important. That's one of the things that I kind of live off of. So just remember that whatever you do and wherever you go, be brave and optimistic that you have not seen your best day. Believe that it is right around the corner. You all have a great day.